I never imagined that the man I had chosen to build a life with would one day turn me into the target of his cruel jokes in front of the people he loved most. Marriage, I thought, was supposed to be about love, respect, and partnership. But on that evening, sitting at his parents' dining table surrounded by his entire family, I learned just how deeply someone you trust can cut you, and how unexpected voices, even the smallest ones, can change everything. It was a Sunday dinner, the kind his mother insisted on holding once a month so the family could stay close. His parents, his brothers, his sisters-in-law, even the cousins and their children were there. The table was filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and the smell of roasted lamb. I had spent hours earlier helping my mother-in-law in the kitchen, smiling and doing my best to be the perfect wife, even though lately my husband, Mark, had been colder than usual. When the conversation turned to relationships and marriage, his brother's wife shared how supportive her husband had been during her promotion. Everyone congratulated them, and the table was full of warmth. That's when Mark leaned back in his chair, smirking, and said the words that made my entire world stop. "Well, not every man is that lucky. Some of us are stuck with wives who can't even keep the house clean or cook a proper meal without messing something up." The laughter that followed felt like knives. Some family members chuckled awkwardly, others avoided my gaze, but his mother giggled as though it were harmless teasing. My face burned red, my hands trembled under the table, clutching the napkin in my lap. I wanted to defend myself, to shout, to ask him why he would say such a thing when he knew how much effort I put into supporting him, raising our daughter, and balancing a part-time job. But the words stuck in my throat, suffocated by humiliation. Mark continued, his tone sharper, his grin wider. "Really, if it weren't for me, she'd probably be living in a mess. I've got to keep this family afloat while she complains about being tired from doing, what exactly?" The room went quiet, my chest ached, my eyes blurred with tears I fought to hide. For a moment, I wanted to vanish under the tablecloth and never return. And then, out of nowhere, a small voice cut through the silence. "Daddy, that's not true. Mommy does everything for us." It was our 8-year-old daughter, Emma. She sat with her fork still in her hand, her eyes wide but steady. The entire table turned to look at her. Mark stiffened, his smugness faltering. Emma pushed her plate away and continued, her voice trembling yet firm. "You don't see it, but Mommy is the one who wakes up early to make breakfast. She helps me with homework, she takes care of the house, and she always makes sure you have clean clothes, even when you don't say thank you. She even stays up late when you come home angry, just to make you feel better. Mommy works harder than anyone." Silence. You could hear the clock ticking in the dining room. Mark's face turned pale. He tried to force a laugh, but it died in his throat. His family's eyes shifted from me to him, some filled with shock, others with disapproval. His mother's smile vanished. His father cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable. Emma's words had cracked the mask he wore, exposing him for what he was. And suddenly, I wasn't the one on trial anymore. He was. I placed a trembling hand on Emma's shoulder, whispering a thank you, while holding back the tears that threatened to fall. For the first time in months, I didn't feel completely alone. My daughter had seen me. She had spoken up for me when I couldn't find my voice. The dinner ended awkwardly. Mark avoided eye contact with everyone, his appetite gone. On the drive home, the silence in the car was heavy. He didn't apologize. Not that night, not the next day, but something had changed. He knew he could no longer treat me like I was invisible, because even our daughter refused to let him. In the days that followed, I found courage I didn't know I had. Emma's words replayed in my mind, reminding me that I was worthy of respect. I began setting boundaries. I stopped tolerating his cruel remarks, calling him out each time he tried to diminish me. And when he grew angry, I didn't back down. Months later, after counseling attempts failed because he refused to change, I made the hardest but most liberating decision of my life. I left him. Emma and I moved into a smaller place, just the two of us. It wasn't easy, but it was peaceful. For the first time in years, I could breathe without fear of ridicule. What my husband never realized was that humiliation doesn't make a person weak, it pushes them to discover their strength. And that night, at that table, it wasn't just my daughter who made him pale, it was the truth, spoken by innocence, that shattered the walls of his cruelty. Today, I look back at that night not as the evening my husband tried to destroy me, but as the evening my daughter gave me back my voice. Because sometimes, the most powerful truths come from the smallest voices. And the lesson I carry with me is simple: Love should never belittle, respect should never be optional, and no one has the right to make you feel less than you are. If they do, then walking away isn't losing, it's winning back yourself. Sparkle's message for the audience. Sometimes the people we love will hurt us the deepest, but even in our silence, truth has a way of finding its voice. And when it does, it gives us the strength to rise, not for revenge, but for freedom, dignity, and self-worth.